Ryan the Geek here, and today I wanted to rank all of the Star Wars movies and TV shows based on my personal enjoyment of them and their quality, and I'll talk about why each one gets what rank it does. Hopefully this won't rub anybody too much the wrong way, because I definitely have some opinions that may be counter to, kind of the general consensus that I've gathered from a lot of Star Wars fans. So let's get into them. Let's start with A New Hope. And this one I'm gonna drop into A tier. So we've got S tier, which is like the best, A tier, which is fantastic, B tier, good, C tier, meh, D tier, trash, or I have not seen it. And so episode 4, really good. It's not my absolute favorite of Star Wars. And I'm also putting The Empire Strikes Back in A tier, which I know is probably gonna ruffle some feathers the wrong way. But again, fantastic movie, just not one of my absolute favorites. It's, arguably, certainly the best well-made film of the original trilogy from a technical perspective, but it's not necessarily the one that I would pop in of the original trilogy, and that one is Return of the Jedi. I know arguably that's not the biggest quality movie, but I loved the whole, rescuing Han from Jabba plotline. I thought that was really cool. I get that it's totally convoluted and makes zero sense unless there was like a Rube Goldberg machine of events that just magically worked, but I still love it. The Ewoks don't necessarily make a whole lot of sense, but I still love them. They're so great. They're so funny. So I'm into them. And I love Return of the Jedi. Stop talking to me about it. Stop it. It's what I like. Here we go. We're about to have another really controversial opinion. I love The Phantom Menace too. I freaking love that movie. I think a lot of it has to do with that was the first Star Wars movie I ever saw, and the first non-National Geographic type thing that I ever saw in a movie theater. So this was like the first real movie that I saw in a movie theater, and the nostalgia, man. I was just right at that right age, right about 9 years old, 9, 10, I'm not sure which. But I loved it. I loved Jar Jar Binks. I loved everything, Darth Maul, the battles, the battle droids. I was just in love with this movie. And I think that stuck with me because I can look past all the flaws, all the awful CGI, Jar Jar Binks, everything. And I freaking love this movie. So good. I love it. So yeah, it's in S tier. Deal with it. Episode 2. Although I do have really fond memories of seeing this in the theater with my dad. Some of my best memories with him. He's unfortunately passed away, but some of my best memories when he was still alive. Still gotta put it in C tier because I watched it recently. And I did not enjoy it that much. The pacing was really weird. It was like, cut to one storyline, jump to another one like 3 minutes later, jump back, and it was very odd pacing. It just, the romance did not work. Anakin was really weird and creepy. I don't understand why Padme fell for him. There are some great scenes in it though, like Anakin going to the Tusken Raider camp. That whole sequence is amazing. Some elements of the Battle of Geonosis are really fun. Padme's outfit. Wink, you know what I'm talking about? Some of Padme's outfits. Good stuff. No, but for real, it has some redeeming qualities to it, and I wouldn't say it's like a hideous movie, but it's not one that I absolutely love to death. So I'm putting it in C tier. Revenge of the Sith, good movie. A lot of people would put it in S tier. I put it in A tier because some of that dialogue and just some of that, there's just some stuff that's kind of like, yeah. Some of the CGI, some of it just doesn't necessarily hold up, or I don't have necessarily the same emotional attachment to it that a lot of people do. I actually didn't end up seeing this one in theaters, and I saw it, much later. Didn't have that same attachment to it, so I still really enjoy it. It's still an A tier, absolutely, but it doesn't quite hit S tier for me. Force Awakens, definitely a C tier. When I watched it the first time, Really enjoyed it. Honestly, I really did. I really was a big Force Awakens fan, along with a lot of other people, even though there's some revisionist history there. Some people were like, I always hated it. You know you didn't. You didn't. You loved it. You loved it. And then we got the rest of the trilogy and realized that most of what it set up didn't pay off, and it kind of killed my enjoyment of it. But in a vacuum, it's fun. It's you know, in a vacuum I might put it in a B tier, but just because I don't enjoy it as much anymore, it falls into a C tier. The Last Jedi, you know, I feel obligated to put it in the D tier. I think I will put it in the D tier. I'm giving into the peer pressure, guys. But what I will say in its defense, the story, I don't like the story, but the cinematography, the aliens, the effects, the world building, some of those shots, you know, the Holdo maneuver, it's a beautiful shot. There's some really beautiful imagery in this movie, some really great cinematography. The story just doesn't hold up, and so it's not one that I really revisit, except maybe watch an occasional scene on YouTube if I just want to like appreciate the good cinematography of it. Rise of Skywalker, definitely a D tier for me. Honestly, I think it's worse than The Last Jedi because it was just a complete mess. You know, there are a few things I enjoyed. Exegol, the atmosphere on Exegol was super cool. Even though I kind of hate it, I still enjoyed the dark side is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Because I just love that line so much, I was still like cool to hear it. I didn't like that Palpatine came back, and I hated his death again. But Ian McDiarmid, you know, I can't say that I hated watching him on screen, even though I hated on principle that he came back. So Last Jedi is D tier, Rise of Skywalker is D tier as well, but that's not to say there are not things that I enjoy in that movie. I don't want people to get the idea that I'm just like a bandwagon hater on the sequels, even though I've got some major issues with them. Rogue One though, boom son, Rogue One, up top, S tier, probably, well certainly of the new actual movies, by far and away my favorite. Loved watching Rogue One in the theaters. I do believe that I saw it twice, once with my sister and once with a good buddy of mine. I might be remembering that wrong. Sister, let me know in the comments. I know you watch my videos. So yeah, but Rogue One, chef's kiss, such a good movie. It was kind of the Star Wars I wanted when Star Wars came back under Disney. Solo, full disclosure, I have not seen the whole movie. I've seen scenes from it, but it just did not grab me enough to want to visit the whole thing. I just wasn't that into seeing a young Han Solo, especially a young Han Solo that looked completely different and seemed to act pretty different. And especially since it didn't get a sequel and like Maul shows up and, you know, then doesn't do anything. That's weird. It's a weird movie. I just wasn't that into it, so I never watched the whole thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Clone Wars movie. That goes into B tier. It's definitely not the absolute best of the Clone Wars series, but it's still fun. Still enjoy it. I'd still rather pop it in than The Force Awakens, that's for sure. You know, Jabba's son, he's cool. Asajj Ventress, she's cool. Dooku, he's cool. I mean, we gotta love Zero. But anyway, yeah, I'm putting that in B tier. Clone Wars TV show, though, as a whole, S tier. Love the Clone Wars TV show, I really do. It's amazing. The Clone Wars 2005 movie is gonna go next to the other Clone Wars movie because I really enjoyed it, like watching it once. It was really interesting to see kind of an alternative canon, see how Grievous got the way he did, you know, all this stuff, because this was released right before Revenge of the Sith came out as a lead up into it. And, you know, the animation style is very cool, but it's not one that I necessarily want to revisit super much because it's a little overstimulating. You know, like the action is non-stop crazy, but it's super cool. So everyone should see it at least once. So B tier. Bad Batch. Bad Batch goes in C tier for me. There were some episodes that were amazing. The first couple episodes, absolutely stunning. The quality of the end of Clone Wars, I thought, holy cow, we are in for a nutty, amazing season. And then we got into the Sid missions and everything just slowed down and it just got kind of goofy. And you know, there were some good episodes sprinkled in, but a lot of it was just kind of that goofy filler. And we could have had a great TV show that was half the length instead of a mediocre TV show that we got. I haven't actually watched the trailer for Bad Batch 2 yet because I want to react to it with you guys. I'll actually probably be doing that in a few minutes, but we'll see if, you know, from the trailer, if I'm going to check out Bad Batch Season 2. I probably will since I have this channel, but you know, we'll see because it just didn't grab me that much. And Rebels, don't flame me, guys. Or do, flame me in the comments. Leave those comments about how I'm so evil. I'm not into Rebels that much. With the exception of Twilight Apprentice and World Between Worlds, for the obvious reason that we get Ahsoka and Vader mashup, and probably one of the best duels, certainly the most emotional duel in animation, and one of the most emotional duels in all of Star Wars, in my opinion. I mean, if we were just ranking like the Vader Ahsoka duel scene, that would be an S tier. I am no Jedi. Ugh. Goosebumps. I've watched that scene probably like 24 times on YouTube. I'm not even joking, guys. I'm not even freaking joking. Just deal with it. I'm a nerd. I might even be in love with Ahsoka. Who knows? What? All right. Moving on, as John Oliver says. I have not seen Star Wars Forces of Destiny, so just by default it goes into D. I wasn't even really aware it was a thing until this poll. So I'm gonna have to look it up, watch it, give my take on it. But for now it's going in D tier. I'm sorry if that bothers you. If it's really good, I will definitely let you know in that review. Mandalorian, boom, S tier, no question. Do we even need to talk about why? I have so many Grogus and they're amazing. And Grogu's amazing, Din's amazing, the story is great. It's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni at their absolute peak. Visions I'm gonna put in B tier. I really liked Visions. I just don't necessarily have any desire to revisit Visions, or don't even necessarily feel like, oh, man, I need more Visions. I think there probably will be more Visions, but it just, you know, it left me good, it left me satisfied, and I was good with that, which is, you know, how I felt about the 2005 Clone Wars and the Clone Wars movie. Book of Boba, it's gonna go in C tier for me. It almost would go in D tier, except that we got 2 amazing episodes of Mando season 2.5. So I didn't love it. I thought that the directing was really uneven. I didn't like everything that Robert Rodriguez did, basically, which kind of sucks because I had high hopes for him. I thought, you know, the guy who directed Machete was going to do some cool stuff, but he went a lot more Spy Kids with it. So there's that. You know, he didn't use a lot of what I thought he was going to use from the episode of Mando season 2 that he directed that was just freaking brutal. Made Boba Fett look like a mother bad. But none of that was in this. So yeah. I really wasn't going to talk this much, guys. I'm already at 15 minutes into this video. Holy crap. Hopefully I'll be able to cut it down a little bit. But we're almost done, guys. Almost through. Resistance, I have no desire to see it. I haven't seen it because I wasn't really into the sequels. So it goes in D tier. I'm sorry if that bugs you. I didn't really give it a chance, but it's in D tier. The Kenobi show. We're halfway through. I'm going to throw it into A tier because it's not done yet. When it's done, there's a good chance it's going to move to S tier because Episode 1 was really good. It was not perfect, but really, really good. Episode 2, for me, pretty much flawless. Episode 3, off the freaking chain. If, you know, we get another good, great, and off the chain episode in this series, it's gonna move to S tier because that's great. I'm really enjoying it. I know there's some people who really hate Kenobi right now. I see them popping up in my YouTube feed all the time and on my Twitter. But you know what? I don't care. I really like it. I dig it. I dig what they're doing with the character. I dig Reva. I dig young Leia. She's amazing. That actress was gold to find. You know, Jimmy Smits. He was only in like the first episode, but still awesome. Joel Edgerton, only in the first episode, but awesome as Uncle Owen. So yeah, I dig it. Right now it's A tier because it's not done yet, so I can't fully judge it and say, hell yes, this is S tier. But there's a good chance, unless they just like bomb. It's gonna be S tier. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I got for you. I got kind of excited, kind of intense, kind of crazy. But this is my definitive Star Wars rankings. If it offends you, let me know in the comments. Let me know your rankings. If you dig my rankings, yay, thumbs up. Bye.